Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mrs. Meltzer, you have an announcement about...
I do. We have a guest, a resident of the township, Lisa Noak, who is an advocate for the hearing impaired, and she will be doing the sign language for the pledge. And I would just ask that maybe we slow it down. We kind of go through it fast.
Okay.
So we could slow it down a little bit as she's signing. That would be helpful. And she's going to stand facing the camera so those that are watching can see.
Okay.
All right. Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lisa. I like it that way better anyway.
Thank you.
A roll call, please, Mrs. Meltzer.
Thank you. Mrs. West?
Here.
Mr. Keys is excused. Mr. Pearl?
Here.
Mr. Cannon?
Here.
Mr. Aragona?
Here.
Mr. Gilliam?
Here.
Mrs. Meltzer here.
Thank you. Are there any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda?
We have an add-on, item number 12, appointment of, to operator position for water and sewer.
Is there a
So
motion?
moved.
Thank you, Mr. Pearl. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. West. Roll call, please.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mrs. West?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Aragona?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mrs. Meltzer, yes. Motion passes.
Thank you. And welcome to your Township Board meeting this evening. If there's an item you wish to discuss as it comes before the board, please wait for your turn and come to the podium and give us your name and address for the record. If there's an item not part of the agenda that you wish to speak to, we have public comments to the front of the room on your left-hand side. Just please fill one out, and we'll hear what you have to say at the end of the meeting. I do
Mr.
have one short public service announcement.
Two, if you wouldn't mind
Two.
letting me add one.
Go ahead, you, Mrs. Meltzer.
Oh, okay. Well, and I was just going to say, our county clerk, Fred Miller, is here, and might give him, he just walked in, so we'll give him a little bit of extra time, so don't rush. You're first on the agenda, so whenever you're ready to come on up, you're welcome to. But that was not my announcement. I just wanted to I know that the marijuana issue has been a big issue that the public is very, very concerned about, so I kind of wanted to give an update. We did do our final tallies of ballot initiative that was circulated in the township, and of those numbers that were circulated, they submitted, this is the Clinton Township Yes Coalition, submitted 5,732 signatures. After our review, we qualified 3,893 signatures. The state of Michigan requires for a ballot initiative based on the 5% of the governor's total numbers, and that number is 2145. And so these qualified signatures exceed that number. So that I did send over to the county clerk on Friday. And then also this breakdown, which I have a hard copy for you if you'd like, but I also emailed it to you, so but not until about 6 o'clock tonight. So you'll see that in tomorrow's email, and I know you've got a lot on your plate, so thank you for taking additional concern and your attention to this. So that's the update regarding the marijuana ballot initiative, and it is projected, given no challenges, that it will be on the March 10th, 2020 presidential primary election.
Thank you. Now through December 2nd, Clinton Township residents have the opportunity to help us develop a strategic vision plan by filling out a community survey. Input from our community is critical so we can learn what is important to residents as we create something for our township's future, something that we all can buy into. The survey is available through the township website, and paper copies are available at the Civic Center, Senior Center, and both library branches in Clinton Township. If you can't get there, please call our office and we will send you one to your home to fill out. It's critical that we have a lot of input from a lot of different groups. So thank you. With that, we have our Macomb County Clerk to give us an update. Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Cannon and trustees, council. It's good to be here before you, Board of Trustees. On the way over here, I was trying to think of when the last time that I was here, and I think it was 2007. As you know, I had the good fortune to represent Clinton Township, the southern 48036, 48035, and some of 48038 in the legislature. And then I got the good fortune to serve on the county board and in 2 different districts, but represented most of 48038 at that point. So I've represented most of Clinton Township, with the exception of a couple of precincts over in that west area between Garfield and Hayes, which is important because my in-laws happen to live there. So I never had the chance to represent my in-laws, so I figured I had to run for county clerk so I could finally, stride into Thanksgiving dinner and, kind of have my thumb in my belt before my father-in-law. I don't know if it's just me, Treasurer Gilliam, but whenever I go over to my in-laws, it's always kind of like, it's kind of like that young man coming to ask for his daughter's hand in marriage. I don't know if it ever gets any better than that, but now I can say, can serve my father-in-law with a summons for jury duty, so maybe we're on a little bit more equal playing field. I don't know. But with all seriousness, it's been an honor to serve and work with all of you in different capacities over the years as colleagues and as mutual problem solvers, and the professionalism and courtesy that you've always afforded me has always been noted and appreciated. And I'm going to tell you guys this, and you already know it, but the time that I've gotten to know the people of Clinton Township, I've been struck by the generosity, the kindness, the goodness of the people of Clinton Township, and you got to know it's a special place. I know that you do know that, but I want to celebrate that and appreciate it for what it is. Clinton Township, it's a great place to be. I lived here for a number of years in my bachelor years, and my wife spent her formative years here, and I just love Clinton Township, so I never want to go without saying that. So when I was here in 2007, as I recall, the state of Michigan was literally on the verge of, the economy was on the verge of collapse, right? Rep Meltzer and I were there at the time, right? Former Rep Meltzer. And the state of Michigan was on the verge of not being able to be liquid and make payroll and pay bills and things like that. So I remember doing a tour of local governments kind of talking about that. So I'm happy to say that we have a lot better news today than we did back in 2007. But I am happy to share the good news of what's going on at the Macomb County Clerk's Office after so many months of bad headlines. I'm proud to say that we have no headlines, which is kind of contrary to my inclination as someone who's accustomed to doing some grandstanding and chasing headlines. No headlines is good news. And I'm proud to be here on behalf of the 90 men and women that serve in the Register of Deeds office, the clerk's office, many of whom I can think off the top of my head who are residents of Clinton Township, who have done a yeoman's job of, despite being under terrific pressure and unprofessional circumstances, enduring things in the workplace that nobody should have to endure, really maintain professionalism and continuity of public service, not only for the public, but also for key stakeholders like Clinton Township, and working with things like this with elections and other things that we work with together on. So I'm so proud of the work that they do. I'm so proud to work with them, and I'm so proud to report to you all that we are not only continuing that legacy of service, but also, I think, well-positioned to really take it to new levels, and I'm excited to report that. Yep. I'm trying to make my way around the entire county. You are the 12th community that I've had the good chance to be with, so I'll very briefly give you an overview, and then I have something to present to you. When we think about the Clerk and Register of Deeds office, there's 4 divisions. We're the clerk of the court of the 16th Circuit Court, which is one of the busiest courts in the state of Michigan. We run the jury pool, among other things, and take all the incoming filings, as Mr. Dolan knows well. And we also, on the outgoing, when there's a judgment for an abstractable offense, something that would affect somebody's driving record, that...
Excuse me, Mr. Miller. Would everyone please turn their cell phones off? Thank you.
When there's a judgment from one of the judges that would affect somebody's driving record, it's our team that has to input that into the Secretary of State's database. Similarly with law enforcement, the LEAN network, to make sure that we share all the data in real time. So that's the court. We do vital records, which are birth certificates, marriage licenses, death certificates, concealed pistol licenses, notary publics, business registration, things like that. So as I like to tell people, if you happen to find love here at the Clinton Township Board meeting, I'm more than happy to officiate your wedding. And if it doesn't work out, we'll take you to my other team and we'll file the divorce paperwork together. So we do a one-stop shop at the clerk's office. And then we're also the Register of Deeds. I'll get to that in a second, but we have over 8 million images going back to the earliest days of Macomb County, the early 1800s deeds. But current day, anytime that you buy or sell a piece of property, you want to record your interest in that. That instrument's filed with our office to make it official. And then lastly, we do elections. As Clerk Meltzer was talking about, we are in receipt of your communication and had a conference call with our Corporation Counsel, Frank Kreischer, today and kind of going through assessing our options. But thank you for transmitting that. Everything seems to be in order. And as you and I talked about on the that snowy Veterans Day ceremony, I'll never forget for all that snow. But as we talked about after the ceremony, yeah, we're assessing our options. And because there's really no precedent, or I guess there's not that there's no precedent, but that it's an early, still in formation, we're having Frank do some research and trying to figure out what the next best step is, which we'll inform you of as soon as we know.
Thank
so
you.
He asked me not to say anything more about that, which, as you all know, for me, that's a challenge not to talk about things, but that is what it is. So I want to, with the Register of Deeds, we have, as I say, over 8 million documents. One of the projects that we've been working on diligently for a long time, the clerk's office offered 2 duplicate parallel services that people could access real estate records. One was called U.S. Land Records. One was called the Google-powered Super Index, which was kind of like a Google interface. When I came into office, we were faced with a decision in short order. The Google-powered Super Index, very user-friendly, same data as in the other database, but because of a background technology migration at Google Corporation out in California, something that they were doing globally, it was a $400,000 premium to migrate all of our data forward. Was cost prohibitive for us to do that, so we had to retire that service. And we expanded the other service, what was called Land Records. You can access it through our clerk's office website. I only say this to you because it's something that not only people who are checking on the status of their deeds and their homestead, but also for developers and attorneys and title companies, it's something that people use an awful lot. So we've tried to make that as accessible as possible. We have gone out to bid, did an RFP. We selected a product known as the Eagle Recorder, which comes to us from Tyler Technologies, a very well-known public sector software company. We'll be their biggest client in Michigan, and I'm really, really excited about what that's going to mean for the way we share information with stakeholders, with the public, and other ways like that. So, but in that database, we do have some really, really cool things. So I'm going to pull this out. This is for you guys. So this is among our Register of Deeds records, and it's from an atlas from 1875.
How cool is that?
So it's a reproduction of a map of old Clinton Township, and I got to read this. There's a snippet in this atlas. I just want to read it to you very briefly, and then I'll be done. It says here, the Township of Clinton was one of the original 5 which constituted Macomb County at the time of its erection. It is one of the most fertile and productive townships in the county. And then I love this part. It goes through to talk about the timber and how it's currently, this is 1875, of course, how there's 1 sawmill and 1 grist mill, whatever that may be. And it says here, among the earliest settlers and pioneers of Clinton Township were the Clemens family, the Allens, the Stocktons, the Cadys, the Eldridges, the Trombleys, the Peltiers, the Whitneys, the Chapitons, and the Longstaff. These families are plentifully represented to this day and number among them some of the most prominent citizens of the county. So as I was putting this together, I kind of thought, you know what? Maybe in 100 years, there'll be a county clerk coming before this board with a hologram or something to present, and then hopefully he or she will say, and the Wests, the Pearls, the Cannons, the Aragonas, the Gillahams, and the Meltzers numbered among the most prominent leaders of early 21st century Clinton Township. So without further ado, I want to present this to you, and I'm happy to take any questions you have.
I love it.
Thank you, Fred. I'm just glad that wasn't your speech all written out.
That is very cool.
I noticed there's no Fraser on there, and I noticed that Mount Clemens was considerably smaller. That was before they started stealing property from Clinton Township. And that's when we, in 1989, I believe, incorporated so that surrounding communities could not take any more of township property, because what they were doing, they were cherry picking properties they wanted.
We tried in Fraser, so I had to move here.
I know. I know. Today, though, we're very friendly with both Fraser and Mount Clemens, as well as our other neighbors. And this is a great county to be in, and we appreciate the fact that you gave us all those nice kudos. And I know you feel that way because I've heard you talk that way privately, too. So are there any comments or questions of board members? Mr. Gilliam?
In addition to being your predecessor in the 31st House District, we go back a long way, cutting our teeth in a sense with the same leadership, congressman that represented this community. A couple of things from it occurs to me that your office really interacts with people at the very beginning of life, at their celebrated moments, at their tragic moments in some cases. But you have the records. You have the recordings of these significant events from all of life within Macomb County. So that's a pretty huge issue. Later in the agenda, we have on some property sales, township-owned property that we're going to be selling. I should let folks know, we then make sure that we get those deeds recorded so that everybody knows the transfer of ownership and the nuances involved in the recording of property records is pretty significant. If you're able to stick around, you're probably not, but you'll see some of the different nuances that we have to deal with. So we make sure we get it right for you so the public knows exactly what the chain of ownership is. Then lastly, wanted to mention changes in election law. So we're grappling with that. There have been huge changes which basically open up the opportunity for people to vote. And I wondered if you wanted to mention any of those significant points. Some of them voted on by the people in the last election, and also a change of leadership at the Secretary of State, but elections being significant, coming up soon. I'll turn it over to you if you want
Sure.
to highlight a few things.
Well, thank you for that, Treasurer, my friend. I appreciate that. And to your point about us having touching people at a lot of different areas of their life, a lot of different milestone moments, we have about 100, over the course of a year, we have about 102 face-to-face interactions with different citizens, and that's not to count the 15,000 people that come through the jury room or through the thousands of online interactions that we have. So it is a lot of people coming through for birth, death, marriage, business, court filings, all kinds of stuff. And it really is, it's a great opportunity to help people. So it's like you guys, it's why we're doing this business, because it's a charge to be able to help people, right? With regard to the transfer of property, we're at your disposal, however we can help facilitate that. There are people at our office who have forgotten more about property records than I'll ever know, and our team can be at the disposal of your team to help facilitate that however you need. But as far as election law, probably I can't tell you anything that Clerk Meltzer can't tell you, because she's very much up on this stuff. We do have a new, just announced today, I saw a new director of elections that's going to be starting on January 2nd, someone that the Secretary appointed today, or it will be effective in January. But you're right, no reason absentee voting. We've had a lot of discussion about this at our Macomb County Clerks Association meetings, about the burden that puts on, additional burden that puts on local clerks and their teams. And we really do have to figure out a solution for that, or I should say they have to figure out a solution for that. Lansing has to somehow either back up these changes with more resources or changing the law in a different way. So, yeah, that is a real thing. And to put a finer point on it, you did not have an election in November 5th, but Sterling Heights, which is analogous in many ways to Clinton Township, I don't know if it was for the first time, but they did in their city election go above 50% for the number of absentee voters. So more people voted by mail in Sterling Heights in their city election than voted at the polls. So for a city the size of Sterling Heights, roughly analogous to Clinton Township, not an insignificant development. So it's something that all of us clerks together grapple with and are trying to figure out. We are going to have online voter registration in the upcoming months. We're told that a vendor's been selected and that they're going to be able to do that. We're reducing some of the paper, but it's going to just change the way that we process this stuff. It's not making our lives or I should say the local clerks' lives that much easier, just changing the workflow, but it's going to take some creative problem solving as well as the other stuff with Prop 3.
Thank you.
And lastly, that map is fantastic. Thank you for presenting it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Thank you, Mr. Miller, for being here. I just wanted to say really quickly that I was on your website a while back, and somebody, I would believe it would be in the Register of Deeds office, has put a lot of the election results online, going back 100 years plus. And I thought that was a really cool thing that citizens are going to be able to stumble upon. I kind of nerd out on history sometimes, so it was really cool to see some of the different names. I believe we had governors, 2-year cycles way back then, so it was really cool to see that and see, now what do we have, 10 state reps representing Macomb County. Back then it was 1 or 2. So tell them that people do look at it, and thank you very much for the hard work that they're doing.
I appreciate that. And as trustee will know, if you go back far enough, it's really just scanned copies of the old, handwritten ledgers, rolls of the results. But yeah, prior to the state constitution of 1963, back when Supervisor Cannon was just coming online in his public service career, right? Just kidding. They had the 2-year terms for clerks and for register of deeds as well. Yeah, so it was a lot different. 63 was really the watershed moment. But I'm glad somebody reads that. I knew I'd finally meet the person that looked at that.
Yep, it was really cool. I thought it was a lot of fun to look at.
Mr. Cannon?
Mr. Pearl, then.
Okay.
Clerk Miller, fantastic job. I've been watching your department interacting with the public, and it's fantastic. Big difference from the predecessor that was there. And we're back to doing it right, and I appreciate that. And I agree with you. We had a Mayor Pompo in Fraser that used to say, "It's a great day when we're not in the press."
Right.
So I know what you're saying. And but you should be commended for what you're doing, and you really put things back on track. And I'm glad with all the improvements you're doing. And I did get the summons for the jury duty, and so everything seems to be working well there. But yeah, there's a lot that you handle, just like you explained. I mean, there's an enormous amount of interaction with everybody. And everything's got to work right for the court systems to work right, and everything, and all the people that come before you that want to register their birth certificates and everything else. It's in the deeds and such. So it's a big job, and I'm glad you're doing it and doing it well. Thank you.
Thanks, that means a lot, but I wanted to say that there are 89 people that are there that do the work every day, and they're the ones that have really turned it around, so I give all the credit to them. It's an honor to work with them.
Okay, Mrs. Meltzer?
Thank you. I just want to thank you personally. First of all, congratulate you on your win. Make a public announcement of that, even though it's been a while since you've been elected as our county clerk. But I wanted to congratulate you on that, and thank you for being here, giving your update and going from community to community to let us know what the county clerk's office is doing. And I also want to thank you specifically for the work and just the accessibility that you've allowed for me to be able to reach out to you on election matters. Even though it was coming down snowing, you were right there, and we talked a little bit about it. I've called your office. Also, Meg Grix, who's phenomenal in elections. Really, all the staff in the elections department is phenomenal to work with, very informative. They know everything there is to know, and what they don't know, they find out. So they're very professional, and I really appreciate their work product. I look forward to working with you in the next year. This is going to be an incredible year with the elections, and so much that has changed with elections. And I know that a couple of the comments have been based on, what kind of clerk we had previously, but I'm kind of surprised that Macomb County voted to have straight ticket voting, because I thought that the previous clerk was a result of straight ticket voting instead of people being accountable, to know who they were voting for. But it did pass, and it did pass statewide. So it's great to have you here. So thank you very much.
Well, as I always remind people, depending on who I'm speaking with, you vote that straight party ticket, you can always cross over and vote for, the exception. That doesn't invalidate your ballot on a November election, as you know. So if you want to vote straight Republican, just don't forget your county clerk. Just kidding, I'm not here to campaign. But I do want to say this. I do want to say this with all seriousness. One of the programs we've resuscitated, and I'll be done after this, Mr. Supervisor, we resuscitated the mobile office. We've been going around the county making sure that we can bring services to the northern part, the southern part, everywhere in between. Clerk Meltzer came and visited us when we were doing a mobile office in Macomb Township, just to kind of check it out. And she took that back to the senior center, and I'm proud to announce here that on January 16th, we'll have a clerk's mobile office at the senior center. We have some other kind of fun and games and bells and whistles that we do as well, but that will be an opportunity for anybody, instead of having to go to downtown Mount Clemens. While it isn't that far of a drive from where we stand compared to Romeo or other places in the county. But you don't have to worry about parking. You can go right to the senior center and conduct all your clerk's business there. And there's typically not that much of a line, and we'll have a couple clerks on hand to be able to do that. So that'll be January 16th at the Clinton Township Senior Center from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Thank you. Mrs. West?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Hi, Fred.
Hello?
About the mobile office, are you going to be going to high schools too, for especially voter registration for some of those young folks that are going to be turning 18?
So as Clerk Meltzer will tell you, we don't have pre-registration allowed in this state, so we can only really register youth who will turn 18 by an election. So I anticipate we'll be doing some of that. The idea that I'll give you a preview of what I want to launch is a program called Seniors Registering Seniors, and then kind of engage some of our senior citizens, retired teachers and the like, to reach out to, in the spring, to seniors in high school who may be going away to college or somewhere else, and who may turn 18 by that November election or the August election, and make sure that they're signed up and registered, and that they know about their new rights to get absentee ballot or vote by mail if they go away, which they previously weren't able to do.
All right. Well, I'm old now, so I could be the first senior helping other seniors if you'd like.
So you want seniors to come and register you, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
Okay.
no. But also, thank you, this is a lovely, lovely, ma'am, and I appreciate it. Thanks for everything you do.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Miller, thank you. We will put
Thank
this
you. Thank
next
you all.
to a current one, so people can see what it was like then as opposed to now.
No.
Very good.
So with that, we'll accept a motion to receive and file. Moved by Mr. Pearl, supported by Mrs. West. Roll call, please.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mrs. West?
Yes.
Mr. Keenan?
Yes.
Mr. Aragona?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mrs. Meltzer, yes, motion passes.
Thank you. And item 2 is introductions of applicants to Board of Review.
Dear board members, there is one partial term for the alternate position up for appointment on the Board of Review. The partial term is for 2 years to expire on December 31st, 2020. Linda Pegg and Robert Hogan have submitted their applications for appointment. The applications were previously sent to you for your review, and no other applications were received. Per the policy guidelines, an invitation has been extended to all applicants to attend the November 25th, 2019 board meeting, in which they will be provided an opportunity to introduce themselves to the Board of Trustees, whereby each being given a 3-minute time limit in which to do so. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Sincerely, Stephanie Middlestat, Administrative Assistant.
Thank you. Would you, Mr. Hogan, like to introduce yourself?
As if everybody doesn't already know
Yeah,
him.
we know who he is.
Bob Hogan, 36755 Bar Street, Clinton Township. Wow, I got to follow. Freddie's a natural up here, this mic. Good evening. My name is Robert Hogan, and I am applying for appointment for the alternate position of the Board of Review. I consider this opportunity a perfect example of how I could introduce myself, but it is also a job interview. I'm a resident of Clinton Township and have never missed a property tax payment since purchasing my house in 1973. My employment history of nearly 50 years in accounting and purchasing management enhances my skill for the Board of Review. I can calmly and openly review, with the taxpayer, possible errors of the property tax records. I can attentively listen to the specific reasons for their appeal. I will review their supporting documentation and substantiate their theory for an adjustment. I will ask questions to better understand their specific disputes. If the taxpayer was overly assessed, I would be supportive to make changes on any property deemed necessary. I am currently retired and have the time, energy, knowledge, and enthusiasm to undertake the responsibilities for the alternate member of the Board of Review. Thank you for consideration for this appointment.
Thank you. I don't see the other applicant here this evening, so a motion to receive and file would be in
So
order.
moved.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and finish the motion first, and then I'll have a
I'll
question.
support it. That's
Okay. So on here, it looks like the Board of Review alternate position for 1 year and 1 month from December 1st, 2019. So that's our next board meeting would be. I just noticed that. I'm thinking, is that going to give us enough time? If this is the introduction, so the next board meeting
Next board
isn't
meeting.
until December. Yeah, but that's after the start date, the appointment date. So we might have to adjust that appointment date. appointment date is December 1st, but our next meeting is until December 9th.
The board isn't going to really meet
They don't
until
meet
like
till
March.
March.
There is a December board of review, but,
Yeah.
Is there?
yeah.
There is.
But that's a very small board
But
review.
it's, yeah, I think it deals with just commercial stuff, but it also is later in the month, so,
Okay.
So we'll be fine, I think.
yeah, so I
Okay.
think we'll be okay.
All right,
Okay, receive and file, roll call, please.
Mrs. West.
Yes.
Mr. Aragona?
Yes.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mrs. Metzger, yes, motion passes.
Thank you. And item 3 is appointment to the Arboretum Committee.
Dear board members, there are 2 terms up for the appointment on the Arboretum Committee. Terms are for 3 years to expire on October 13th, 2022. James Cheney and James Hungerford have submitted their applications for reappointment, and Stephen Gurin has submitted his application for appointment, which have previously been submitted for your review. It would be appropriate to make the necessary appointments at this time. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Sincerely, Stephanie Middlestead, Administrative Aide.
No. I would have no problem if we have 3 excellent applicants. I would have no problem if the board wanted to extend and have 1 additional person put on the Arboretum Committee and appoint all 3 this evening.
I'll move that we, that's a good idea. I'll move that we add 1 person to the Arboretum Committee and appoint all 3.
I'll support that.
Thank you.
They could use help. Yeah, they do a great
They
job.
do.
But they're-
Is there volunteers? We love them.
Yeah.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mrs. West?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Aragona?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mrs. Metzger, yes, motion passes.
Thank you. And item 4, approval of Class C liquor license transfer.
Dear board members, applicant Burgerfin Partridge Creek, was that the right one? Partridge Creek LLC located at 17380 Hall Road, store number R120, Clinton Township, Michigan, 48036, has successfully fulfilled the requirements per the building department, fire department, and treasurer department, as well as the police background check and payment of the application fees necessary to acquire a liquor license transfer. Based on this fulfillment of requirements, Burgerfin Partridge Creek LLC requests approval from this honorable board. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Sincerely, Kim Meltzer, clerk.
Thank you. Is there anyone representing Burger Fit here this evening? Do you have any additional comments you'd like to make?
No, just that we're extremely excited to be able to come into the community. My name's Jeff Cox. This is one of my partners, David Elias.
Okay, and which unit are you going in?
We're going into R102 as the old Blackfin location,
That's what I thought you were going.
right across from California Pizza Kitchen there. So we're very excited to be able to come, into the community. It's the first of a concept that we're developing. I think that, myself being in the restaurant industry since I've been 13, classically trained in French cuisine, I get to, really develop something that I think is going to be fantastic. And it's just a new concept in general where it's going to be more on small bites. I don't know if you've heard of Green Dot Stables downtown where you get 18 different sliders. Well, we're going to have 14 sliders on our menu. We're also going to have 8 sushi rolls and a build your own salad program. We have 20 beers on draft. We're going to do some keg cocktails, things of that nature. And it just allows us to be able to drive the price point to you develop your own dining experience based on your palate. I'm not going to sit there and say, I'm going to compose one dish for you. So along with all of the other sides like that, for everybody that works in the mall itself, it's going to allow them an outlet to be able to come in. If they can come in and get an in and out for $10, they can. If they want to be able to have a great experience and, enjoy a cocktail and really be able to sample, a spicy tuna roll and a blackened mahi sandwich, or one of our classic, Burgerfin burgers, they're going to be able to do that. And it just really, it's going to be, I think it's a good generational gap being in the industry as long as I have, being able to bridge what, the consumer is generally going for, and that's the diversity in the dining experience to really, build your own experience. So we're extremely excited to be open. I mean,
When do you plan on opening?
well, mid-January, early January, somewhere in that time. And we were very fortunate to walk into the restaurant there. It was almost fully built out. We had, minimal work to do, so a lot of research and development on menu, a lot of eating trials, things like that. We're going to make 99% of everything fresh in-house, so, no store-bought. We're in control of everything that we do, which is just fantastic. So I'm extremely excited to be able to, have the opportunity to open.
We are too, and I've heard so many people say this is exciting because one of a couple likes the fish part and the other likes the burger part, so now they can go and dine together and get what they want.
Do you know how I came up with the concept originally? Because I am a
Probably you eat burgers and your spouse has fish.
opposite. I lived in Florida for 7 years where, I was a chef for Disney and I grew up around a lot of seafood and being able to love it. And, my wife is not the biggest fan. And the only place we could ever go to, where I can get a sushi roll and she'd be able to have a steak or, whatever it was a hibachi restaurant. And I'm not the biggest fan. So I was like, what would be great is if you could kind of marry the two and everybody could be able to get what you want. And it just ends the conversation of where do you want to go. Now you have a little bit of something for everybody. So
Thank you. Thank you for coming to Clinton Township.
Yeah.
thank you very much.
It sounds fantastic. I'm thrilled that you're coming into Clinton Township. I'll move that we approve the transfer of ownership of the Class C
Support.
license.
Further discussion?
Yeah, I got one quick question.
Mr. Aragona?
Do you have other locations currently?
We do not. This is the first concept.
Do you plan on opening up?
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely 100%.
awesome.
So yeah, everything that we're doing is in the mindset of, being repeatable. I spent 11 years in a large corporation. I worked for, Outback Steakhouse for 11 years. 720 locations across the country, great culture in their heyday. I mean, they're still doing great, but those are the things that we're looking at is, our growth. So it's starting right here in Clinton Township, and we couldn't be more excited to, call this our founding location,
Good.
our home. So
We're glad about that, too.
And can I?
Yep.
You're Jeff?
yes.
Does Dave have anything he wants to say?
I get very, very excited, very passionate about this.
Good thing, nothing wrong with that.
let him talk.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm also very excited. I've been working in the food business.
Can you lean into the microphone a
I
little bit
apologize.
more?
Thank you.
Thanks.
I also have been involved in the food business for quite a few years. I was actually born out of the spice business and then moved on to the soup business. I founded with a partner, Zoop Fresh Soup Company, if you're familiar.
Yes.
So between Jeff and I, we've got quite a few years of both culinary and operational experience, and really very excited to be a part of the Partridge Creek community. So
Great.
it's great.
Good. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Did you, one other quick question, is there another restaurant you own here around in this area?
We operate Black Rock Bar and Grill in Utica.
Excellent.
And we
Yes,
also
very good.
operate 2 locations of Black Rock Bar and Grill in Florida, in the
Okay.
Tampa market.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mr. Aragona?
Yes.
Mrs. West?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mrs. Melter, yes, motion passes.
All right.
Thank you.
very
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Item 5, approval of another transfer of ownership.
Dear board members, applicant Malvagio LLC, located at 41964 Hayes, Clinton Township, Michigan 48038, has successfully fulfilled the requirements per the Building Department, Fire Department, and Treasurer Department, as well as the police background check and payment of the application's fees necessary to acquire a liquor license transfer. Based on this fulfillment of requirements, Malvagio LLC requests approval from this honorable board. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Sincerely, Kim Meltzer, Clerk. And Mr. Cannon, if we could have the applicant come forward, and if I could just say, this is a very unique request, I think the first in the state of Michigan, because you are a salon owner, and you're going to offer adult beverages at your facility, which I think is pretty cool.
There'll be a lot of happy people getting their nails done.
Yeah, but the state's already approved you, and
Yeah,
it looks
they've
like.
already approved. I've actually already paid for the license. We're just waiting on like a few closing documents to be sent over. The insurance policies are done. If you guys grant it, of course, that's the last step to the process. But we plan on starting with just like a glass of wine or a mimosa, maybe sangria, test it out, see how it goes, and go from there. But the response from the clients that we have now has been amazing, so we're looking forward to hopefully doing it. We are a little bit of a different salon. We're appointment only, so our clients don't typically come just as walk-ins off the street. We know them, we have their information. So it's a little bit of a different scenario. I have 11 years in managing a bar, and then I left that to then do nails and open my own salon. So I have plenty of experience with both different kinds of businesses.
Does she have a name?
We got 2 different types of
Right.
bars coming into the community. That's good. Very good.
Your name is
Congratulations.
Nikita
Nikita,
Morel.
thank you.
Move to approve transfer.
Support.
Thank you. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mrs. West?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Aragona?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mrs. Melter, yes, motion passes.
Thank you so much for your
Congratulations.
time.
Thank you. Item 6, revised site development plan for Moran Auto Outlet.
Attached is a request for revised site development approval for the newly redeveloped Moran Auto Outlet located at 37777 South Gratiot. The property is located on the west side of Gratiot, north of 16 Mile, comprises 4.5 acres and is Zone B3 General Business. The petitioner has renovated the 36,564 square foot vacant former Toyota dealership building and site with the Moran Auto Outlet. The petitioner is requesting a waiver to allow a portion of the rear of the lot formerly paved with asphalt to be replaced with gravel for the storage of vehicles. Upon review of the proposed plans, the Department of Planning and Community Development is forwarding this request to the Township Board with a recommendation for approval. Attached is a revised development plan for your review. Sincerely, Bruce Thompson, Director for the Department of Planning and Community Development.
Thank you. And with us this evening is the proprietor, Mr. Pat Moran.
Good evening,
Who has
Pat Moran.
several businesses on Gratiot Avenue, all superb.
Thank you. Supervisor Cannon, Clerk Meltzer, and trustees. The goal here is to make this site look as good as our other sites. We're proud of what we've done in Clinton Township in terms of our development and our landscaping and our maintenance. We think we offer really pristine locations, and we try to make it convenient for customers, and we try to make them show well. This building has required a little bit more than we expected, but we're getting there. We've done the update on the inside. We've done the lot lights. So we're now to the parking lot. The front part of the lot is asphalt. We'd like to maintain asphalt. It does need to be repaired in some areas, and I have worked with your engineering firm and my engineering firm to take a look at all the options. We've got good drainage at the site. Everything seems to be working well, but the back area of it, which is rather large, is already half gravel, and then it's got a lot of decomposed asphalt, which is in very rough shape, and we need to clean it up. So it would be my goal, if it's approved, to get with my engineering firm and get some plans drawn up to make sure we do it correctly, but then to get that lot usable so we can store vehicles back there.
And I met with Mr. Chabot and Mrs. Bednar, and they know what needs to be done, and they've contacted your engineer, so it should be.
We've had many meetings.
What we're approving tonight is the asphalt. I'm sorry, the
Stone.
Gravel.
gravel
Variance for
in place of the asphalt. So are there any comments or questions?
I got one real quick.
Mr. Aragona?
Yeah, Mr. Moran, you and I were talking before the meeting, and something I just want to point out. This area currently, well, it was paved years and years ago. However, if I'm not mistaken, you said it looks like the engineers took a look at it, and there's no base put down.
That's correct. And
So-
that's why the asphalt is in such tough shape.
Yeah, so it was bad for years, and it's just gotten worse up until now.
Yeah, it's basically a case of neglect. I mean, they didn't really use it, so they didn't do anything with it. And, I mean, in order to do this correctly, it's going to require that we excavate quite a bit of this muck out because there is no base to put the proper fill in so we've got good drainage. Because we don't want to compound the problem, we want to fix what could be a problem. Because
Yeah.
right now, it's not solid enough to do what we need to do.
Exactly. Okay, thanks.
Mr. Pearl?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Cannon. Yeah, I talked to our engineering department, and this will just be in the back area.
Correct.
You wouldn't see it from the street.
No.
It'll be just used from storage, and it'll be fenced in.
Yeah, these are not public areas. These are in a fenced-in lot that is in the back of the building.
And Ms. Bennar feels that it could be engineered, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, they've actually already did one review, and they're working with the AEW as we speak.
Good.
Okay, I know normally we don't allow this, but it's just going to be used for storage. And, that building was bought by Maddox Chevrolet to put a Toyota dealer, and Toyota wouldn't let them put it there. So they built it in M59.
Right.
On Hall Road in Macomb Township, which I didn't agree with them. We have so many fine #1 dealerships in Clinton Township on Gratiot. But I'm glad that you're doing something with that property. I didn't want to see it become neglected and vacant. And I think at this time, if it's all right with you, I'll move that we approve the gravel area as shown on the site plan.
Thank you. Is there a
Support.
second? Supported by Mr. Aragona?
So just if I could, just a few questions. So are there any changes from when you appeared at the Budget Ways and Means? I haven't followed this, so I'm not sure how this has evolved from that initial presentation.
So what we've done is basically taken a look at different options for the site, different ways to do it, and no, pretty much it's the same. I mean, what we've determined is that if we run a belt of asphalt around the perimeter of the building in the back, and then put the gravel behind it, then we'll have a situation where all the drains are encapsulated in asphalt, so they're safe, and then the gravel would be behind it. But we've worked to find a plan that makes sense. And so basically, it's what we talked about initially, actually a little bit of a variance from the fact that we moved the dumpsters from one side of the building to the other, just for the same reason, for traffic.
Okay. Is there any concern about dust? I mean, I know you're a car dealer, so, you got to wash those things. So, and this is storage of the new or the used vehicles? What's
It would actually be overflow storage of new vehicles. So it's not
Okay.
like it's going to be constant traffic coming in and out. There's situations where we get 300 Equinoxes in, and we might have 100 at the main lot and put 200 there, and then
Okay.
feed off of it. So it's not like it's going to be used by trucks or anything heavy. It's just going to be our people bringing the cars in and out. So dust shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, all right. Not a problem for the residents or not the problem just for the cars?
Both.
That's the other. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, first of all, we can't use a product like 22A, which has got concrete mix in it, because it won't drain. That would create dust. So, I mean, we're looking at a product, or trying to find the product, which we'll find out from Scott and from my engineer, that allows it to be consistent and, not, you don't want it to compact. It's got to be able to drain. So dust should not be an issue.
Okay, so what we're approving here tonight is the variance, and then they still have to come back with site plan. Is that correct? Or
Engineering.
after engineering?
No, what you're approving is the waiver of the back area to be gravelled, and then they'll go through engineering. Once they have approvable plans, at that point, they'll build it according to the approvable plan. I think Bruce's letter, I don't think they require a revised site plan at this point.
That's my understanding also. Further comments?
I'd feel more comfortable if it was coming back after the engineering is done. I mean, it didn't sound to me like it was definitive that, it sounded more like we're looking for the right material rather than having the right material.
Well, we've got choices on the material, so it's going to be whichever one they feel is the best suited for it. So, I mean, it's still going to involve a gravel substance, but it's going to depend on, and Scott could probably address this better than me, which one would drain the best. So, we're flexible in terms of what that needs to be to meet the requirements. But we're not going to begin construction on this without going through the process of getting all that lined up. And my engineer is going to need to work with Scott and the DPW to make sure we've got an approval. So this is not anything we're going to intend on starting today. This is something we want to have a plan in place that we can do in the spring.
Paul, if this helps, the engineering approval will have grades, so we know that it's going to be graded properly. It'll have a cross-section of what the cross-section will look like, so what type of stone and how much is going to be needed, because obviously you want it to drain, but you also don't want it to be ruddy and causing other issues. So, but that cross-section, we're going to be working directly, or Scott will be working directly with his engineer, because we don't have such a cross-section. Right now, if you ask me how many inches of concrete I could, but this is something different because he's asking for a waiver. But we will work with him so that we get a good product.
And the other concern was that we had core samples done of that existing parking lot to find out what was there now, so we know where the trouble areas are. And it's not all an issue, but there are spots in it that it's mud, which needs to be excavated out and then backfilled. So we realize we've got a project ahead of us, but if you've looked at any of our places, we don't take shortcuts, so we're going to do it right.
And so, part of this is based upon reputation, right? But the other part of it is, trust but verify.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, I think this is a situation where we're approving a variance and then asking for it to come back is the appropriate course of action here after the engineering is finalized. Are you okay with that?
I'm fine with
Motion maker?
our engineers are going to be the ones that will make sure it's done
I
right.
think as long as it's okay by the engineering, if it's okay with them, they could send us a letter saying that they've, before it's built. Because he's got to get the approval to do all this work. This is not their first rodeo in Clinton Township. They do an excellent job of all.
You've done a
all their
lot of
buildings.
rodeos.
I think that
You've done a lot of rodeos.
we'll probably end up taking more out than we're going to put back in, because there's a lot of junk in there. But,
Right.
I believe that, I don't think it's real complex. I think it's just going to be a matter of determining the grades and then determining which exact product they want us to use. Because there's many products out there that we can use, but we want to use the one that's going to work the best. So once I talk to Laner, and he comes back in and looks at the site plan and figures out the grades, then we'll come back to the township and do what we need to do. But it's all done in conjunction with your engineering and with AEW, so we don't want to do it 2 times. We want to do it once and do it right.
Right.
Thank you. Further comments from the board? From the community? Mr. Moran?
Oh, hi.
Sam Bushel, 18546 Wayland Drive. As you're all aware, the DPW earlier this year approved new drains from a business right behind me, shooting right out into another property. This is due to a flooding problem. I don't know if you can trust not coming back from the DPW. I mean, you all have been aware of this for months, and nobody's done anything about it. And in fact, this was done with no even permit fees. So I think, you got to realize the DPW, at the last planning commission meeting, you can look at it. I'm sorry the planner isn't here, but he made it very clear. You can't even legally drain one property to another property. And yet even the attorney has been on this, the planner put the attorney on the email thread. Everybody has been aware of this, and I think you have to, there again, trust but verify. Yeah, and I think, I sure would appreciate an answer as to how these illegal drains could have been put in behind my house. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Pearl.
Yes.
Mr. Aragona.
Yes.
Mrs. West.
Yes.
Mr. Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam.
Yes.
Mrs. Meltzer, yes, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 7, appointments to the Budget Ways and Means Committee.
Dear board members, the terms for the Township Budget Ways and Means Committee are appointed by the board on a yearly basis. Currently, the committee consists of board members Kim Meltzer, Robert Cannon, and Paul Gilliam. Trustee Mike Key serves as first alternate, and trustee Joey West as second alternate. Staff members include Finance Director, Assistant Director, Public Services Director, Planning Director, and the Administrative Assistant. The Township Attorney serves in an advisory capacity. It would be appropriate to make the necessary appointments for another year to expire November 20th, 2020. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Sincerely, Stephanie Middlestat, Administrative Assistant.
Thank you. It would be more appropriate to reappoint everyone to their position unless one of the full-time members doesn't wish to be on that committee. But
I'll make a motion to reappoint everybody.
Okay.
Support.
thank you. Motion by Mr. Aragona, supported by Mr. Pearl, to reappoint the positions of the staff and the 3 full-time officials. Roll call, please.
Mr. Aragona?
Yes.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mrs. West?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mrs. Meltzer, yes, motion passes.
Thank you. And item 8 is disposition of Clinton Township-owned properties.
I would like to, because Mr. Gilliam is the chair of the disposition committee, if you want to take it away.
If you want to go ahead and read the letter.
Do you want
and then we
all
can
of this
just-
in there?
Well, so the action that was taken today at the committee meeting was to remove, hang on,
Was Abraham.
actually 2 of them that we're removing, or that we're recommending be removed from the agenda tonight is 20313 Abram, and then the last item, which are the 3 lots 29, 30, and 31 from the Riverview Ridge Condo Association. So the first removal is as a result of the fact that we had one bidder. That one bidder then submitted a notification that they had made a mistake. They were planning to bid on the Woodward property, bid on the Abram property by mistake. They want to withdraw their bid. We get it, mistakes happen. We don't think it's an issue where we should, take their deposit or anything like that, even though it's within the township's purview to do. But then we would want the second one removed because the way our process works is that we take properties out for bid. So we've got 5 developable lots here that we took out for bid in this condo association. It was predicated on the fact that we had received an offer for $5,000 for 3 of the lots, and that was from an existing property owner. One of the people who own the condos wants to keep that property vacant. So we didn't feel comfortable just awarding that for $5,000, so we said, we'll take them out for bid. Once.
Is that for each lot?
For each. $5,000 each.
Yes,
Says for each lot,
$5,000 for each lot. When we took the property out for bid, all 5 lots, we received an offer from 2 of them. $10,000 per lot, they're going to develop houses on those lots. The other offer, keep them vacant as open space. Since that time, since the first recommendation was made and this letter was printed and put in the packet, we received a subsequent offer from the person who bid on the other 2 lots. He's bidding $20,000 for the remaining 3. So recommendation from the committee, go back to both of them, say, give us your final best, and allow them time to do that, and bring it back. That creates the best fiduciary meeting of our responsibility as a board. So,
then, okay, so I can read the other parts of that information because it is good to have it in the record. On November 6, 2019, the Clinton Township Property Disposition Committee reviewed multiple offers to purchase Clinton Township-owned property as follows. 22718 Phelps, recommendation to accept the bid of $32,500 from Lance Paxton of Owners First Redevelopment LLC, Troy, Michigan. Also 20507 Tulio, recommendation to accept the bid of $52,500 from Lance Paxton of Owners First Redevelopment, also in Troy. Then the 20313 Abraham is being removed as according to, if we approve that, per Treasurer Gilliham's request. And then also on the board, to remain for approval would be 20853 Woodward, recommendation to accept the bid of $32,000 from Tamar Dar of Ashland Street in Harrison Township. We're removing lots 27 and 28.
No, 27, 28 stay.
Oh, they're staying, wait.
The last lots 29, 30, and 31. Second page.
Oh, okay,
Those-
29, okay, 29, 30, and 31.
Yep.
Okay, so these would remain lots 27 and 28, Riverview Ridge. Recommendation to accept the bid of $10,000 for each lot from Daryl Gasfus of Max Properties, Washington Township. Vacant parcel item 16-11-23-177-009. Recommendation to accept the bid of $500 from Charles Easterly of Clinton Township, contingent upon the petitioner attaching the parcel to his adjacent parcel at 22985 Iroquois Drive. Vacant parcel number 16-11-35-327-006. Recommendation to accept the bid of $3,500 from Shirley Parker of Clinton Township, contingent upon the petitioner attaching the parcel to their adjacent parcel located on Quinn Road, and contingent upon removal of the existing ingress-egress easement of the adjacent parcel, which is located on Stevenson Street. And then, obviously, removing the lots 29, 30, and 31 Riverview Ridge. And this has been recommended for our consideration. Sincerely, Bruce Thompson, Department of Planning and Community Development.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I got a couple of questions.
Okay.
So those last lots, Paul, 29, 30, and 31, so we got 2 people who are basically going to give us their final bids, right?
Correct.
So one of them wants to keep at least one of the lots vacant, is that what it was?
So, all right, so 5 lots total.
Right, so 2 of them were already done.
2,
We're just looking at-
we're accepting that offer,
Yeah.
right? No offers came in during the formal bid process.
Okay,
After the formal bid process was closed, we revert back because the process gives some priority to adjacent property owners.
right,
But that's usually under the condition that they combine those lots with his existing property. Because this is a condo, there are some complications to that. Then we received another offer, so $5,000 for the 3 lots, leave them as open space, adjacent property owner, some consideration for that. Another offer for a total of $20,000 for all 3 lots, one of which may have some floodplain issues. And so I think that's why the offer was 10,000, or rather 20,000 for 3 lots as opposed to 30,000 commensurate with the other offer.
gotcha, okay. So the condo complex, was there any interest in them from buying one or more of them to keep it open space?
Well, this certainly allows that to occur.
Okay.
Given the fact that we have competing offers, I think it makes sense to give them time to flush out exactly what they want to do.
Okay. But the lot owner came to you, came to the committee, but not the actual complex, right? There's no interest.
The complex has not come through.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And then just one more quick question. The lot over on Iroquois, was there any, I kind of looked at that lot and wondered how something got platted with 34 feet on the road. Did you ever figure out how that happened?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
But I mean, it's this thing that's hanging out there, and again, priority to adjacent property owners.
Yeah.
And it's in our best interest to get this out of township ownership and into the hands of an adjacent property owner where they can then combine it.
Okay. And then kind of for my own edification as well as anybody else who's looking out there to maybe eventually do the same thing and bid on one. These new, let's take that one on Iroquois, for instance. It's 34 by, I don't remember how long it was, maybe 50, we'll call it 50. That gets joined to the current plot, and somebody has somebody's living there, right? It's a house, somebody has a house there, and they have a homestead there. Is there any type of uncapping that happens with just this lot, or in terms of how they're taxed?
Believe it would be uncapped, but then they would receive a primary residence exemption. So it's kind of a wash.
Okay, all right. With that, I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any from the community? Roll call, please.
Excuse me, I have one question. I mean, Mr. Gilliam, what did Stevenson go for?
What did Stevenson go for?
Or maybe that's just
Actually,
another
it's a-
letter that's in there.
That's
With
just
a Quinn. It's a Quinn.
That's the Quinn Road
Right, right.
property.
But that's not for sale now. That's what was already. That's just the adjacent property.
Okay, there was a letter in here, and it said something about 3,500, but then it said 4,500.
Oh.
One of the follow-up letters. Is that some other property they're talking about?
Maybe.
And it's 30.
So there's Phelps, there's Tulio. We are removing, there's Woodward, we're removing Abram.
It says Stevenson vacant lot.
Yeah. It says 3,500 is purchase price.
Right.
It says,
Oh, I think
it
that was
says
a typo on
3,500,
Shirley,
but
yeah.
then it says 4,500.
That's what he's talking about, so 3,500, but then she spells it out as 4,000.
So which,
Where do you have 4,500?
You know what? I think the 4,000 may have allowed for contingencies, because we always do the expenses to the people who are the purchasers.
okay,
But
so that
that's-
explains that?
I didn't,
You're talking about where it's spelled out, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
Quite frankly, I didn't catch that.
like you write a check and the bank accepts the written out,
Right, not the number.
not the number. So
We
it's just-
do, yeah, we do require that expenses are covered by the purchaser.
Okay, all right.
Do you want to hold off on this one, just to make sure?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we can go forward with this one.
Okay.
This one makes sense. The offer is pretty clear that, and we can confirm with Bruce,
Okay.
so.
I didn't.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Aragona.
Yes.
Mrs. West.
Yes.
Mr. Pearl.
Yes.
Mr. Cannon.
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam.
Yes.
Mrs. Melcher, yes, motion passes.
Thank you. And item 9 is approval of engagement with Verify One.
Dear members of the board, I'm requesting authorization to engage Verify One to conduct a thorough and dependent eligibility audit of the township's healthcare plans. A dependent audit is the examination of an employer's health plans to ensure an enrolled dependent's eligibility. This process verifies that the dependents claimed by an employee are actually eligible to receive benefits. The purpose of the engagement is to assist the township in fulfilling its responsibilities to plan participants and reduce overall plan costs. It is estimated that 4 to 8% of enrolled dependents nationally are ineligible for coverage in the average plan. At present, the township has 472 active and retired members with 979 dependents. With an estimated average cost of $5,160 per dependent, Kaiser Family Foundation, the annual savings could be substantial and protect plan design. The scope of Verify One's engagement will consist of a comprehensive campaign utilizing the latest technology to communicate with plan members and collect the required documentation. The fee for the services outlined will be approximately $12,000. I anticipate conducting a post-open enrollment campaign in January and February. Should you have any questions or concerns regarding this matter, please do not hesitate to contact me at your convenience. Sincerely, William Smith, Human Resources Director.
Thank you. Comments or questions? Mr. Smith is here. This seems like a very good investment.
Mr. Cannon.
I just, so we kind of talked about this in our earlier meeting, and, I think the value of doing this type of plan is underscored by the fact that when Macomb County did a very similar thing, they literally found somebody that was on the, that had been employed by the county for about 6 months, left, and was still on the health care plan like 15 to 20 years later.
But in that particular case, it was an employee, actually, not a dependent.
Right.
Right.
Right. But, so basically, this is an opportunity to review, to clean up the rolls, and to send the notice out to everybody. If you have anybody on the plan that shouldn't be on the plan, you need to act very quickly.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Gannon. Just, so there is a cost of $12,000, and you anticipate a savings based on this audit?
Well, yeah, given the numbers, we approximately only need 3 to 4 dependents that we find to recoup the cost.
So you expect to find that?
Well, based on the numbers nationally, we would expect 49, between 4 to 8%, but I guess time will tell.
I think it would be a great idea to come back and give us a report on what you found out after if this is all done.
Oh, absolutely.
Savings,
It's been about 8 years since the last time we did a eligibility audit. Partly the reason we've postponed it is because of the changes in the Affordable Care Act and who qualifies as dependent. If you recall, years ago now, a student, you had to be a student or other qualifying event in order to maintain our health care. But with the Affordable Care Act, now it's up to age 26, and there are no such requirements. So we're fairly confident that we know when people are going to age out. Most of the time, it's a status change for either a dependent or a spouse that we're unaware of, and we don't find out till sometime later.
I see. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Cannon.
Yes.
Verify One is a company that I brought to Bill through the chamber. They're very successful. In fact, actually, they've been doing this for a very, very long time. But to that end, I think I need to abstain.
If I may speak to that for a moment as well, after I met with Ms. West and Verify One, I did, even though it's not required under the bid policy, I did go out and solicit bids from 2 other companies that provide this service. It was a little difficult because most of them are upcharges on companies that already have business with a particular client. Not many of them actually provide a standalone service of this nature. And after reviewing those other 2 companies, the services they provided and the cost and the bids that they gave me, I was comfortable with Verify One as the best vendor to provide this service.
And, Ms. Meltzer, Watford Township just, used Verified One. And after the very first day of their work, Waterford basically already found. They recouped their money
Yeah. Okay,
without a
good.
doubt.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we allow Ms. West to abstain.
Support. Okay. Your company makes money with this company, correct?
more or less, I don't make money.
Organization.
So your company does?
Yeah, but the chamber does.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I have no problem with that. Roll call? Roll call on Mrs. West abstaining?
Okay. Oh, well, a question though. Do you, if you don't stand to gain any financial?
I don't gain any
Do you need to
financial.
abstain?
Well, I think with the chamber making money, I mean, you know, I
And then you're
might
hired by
be,
them? Okay.
you know, I work for the chamber, so.
Roll call.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mrs. West?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Argona?
Yes.
Mrs. Meltzer, yes, motion passes.
Okay, now we'll get back to the $12,000 fee. Is there a
So
motion?
moved.
Is there a second?
Support.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mrs. West?
No, she can't vote.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. Hang on, I'm sorry. Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Argona?
Yes.
Mrs. Meltzer, yes, motion passes.
Thank you. Item 10, recommendation to consolidate deferred compensation plan providers.
Dear members of the board, in consultation with the Township's 401-457 Retirement Plan Investment Advisor, Plant Moran Financial Advisors, PMFA, and in accordance with Township's fiduciary responsibility to participants of the Charter Township of Clinton 401A Retirement Plan, called the Plan, the committee recommends terminating John Hancock as plan provider and transferring plan assets to Fidelity. Our recommendation takes into consideration an analysis conducted by PMFA earlier this year to review our existing retirement plan structure. The primary factor of PMFA's analysis was the cost savings and other plan improvements that could be made available by consolidating from multiple plan providers down to a single provider approach. This is considered a best practice in the industry today. The primary benefits of the recommendation to consolidate plan providers are as follows. For existing employees participating in the John Hancock plans, significant reduction in investment and administrative fees, easier to understand menu of available investment options, and enhanced online resources and tools. For the township in the role of plan sponsor and fiduciary, enabling industry best practices as identified by the National Association of Government-Defined Contribution Administrators by consolidating plan providers, monitoring and controlling for reasonable plan costs, reducing risk and time spent monitoring and evaluating multiple providers and investment menus. If the Board of Trustees concurs with our recommendation regarding moving John Hancock assets to Fidelity, the impacted participants, the active employees, terminated employees, and retirees will be notified of the cancellation of this plan. They will be informed on how their assets will transfer to Fidelity. The Deferred Compensation Plan Committee will schedule meetings with Fidelity and our PMFA to afford all participants the opportunity to meet with them so that employees may make decisions that are in their best financial interest. In conclusion, we request the Board of Trustees approval to, number one, terminate the existing contract with John Hancock and transfer plan assets to Fidelity, and number two, authorize the Deferred Compensation Plan Committee to enter into and execute all appropriate contracts, documents with Fidelity on behalf of the Charter Township of Clinton. Should you have any questions or concern regarding this matter, please do not hesitate to contact us. Sincerely, Donna Loretti, our Finance Director, Mary Hine, our Assistant Finance Director, and William Smith, our Human Resources Director.
Thank you. Mr. Pearl?
Yeah, I'm glad that this was taken a look at, because I've been complaining about the township using John Hancock and the fees they were charging us for 10 years or more. This is the worst. It's kind of an embarrassment for me, since two of my sons are certified financial planners, and I wouldn't even want to tell them what we were being charged by John Hancock. So thank you for people that made the recommendation. I don't know much about Fidelity, but I'm sure if they looked at it and made the recommendation, it's a lot better than John Hancock. So, thank you.
Well, here's what I can tell you about Fidelity, and they're actually coming close to, in some cases, beating Vanguard in terms of the fee structure. So their fee structures are dramatically lower, and this is those are what our other existing plans are. And so then we have the benefit of not having to deal administratively with different organizations, but rolling this into the one that we already deal with.
So the floor is yours for a motion.
I'll move that we accept the recommendation as noted.
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mrs. West?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Aragona?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mrs. Meltzer, yes, motion passes.
Thank you. And item 11, request to amend the public comment policy and public comment card.
Dear Township Board members, on Tuesday, October 8th, 2019, the Budget Ways and Means Committee met and discussed the current public comment policy. Attached, please find the revised policy with changes recommended by the Budget Ways and Means Committee. The committee voted unanimously on the recommended changes. Thank you for your consideration in this matter. Sincerely, Kim Meltzer, Chairperson for the Budget Ways and Means Committee. Mr. Cannon, can I speak to this then?
Yes.
So basically, this policy, it really doesn't change much in terms of how it impacts the public as much as it impacts how we operate internally. So we try to streamline it so that as public comments come in at the end of each meeting, they're directed to the supervisor. The supervisor has the option to respond or not, or direct them to a department. So in the past, what would happen is it could come to the clerk's office, and then from the clerk's office go to other departments that were relevant to answering the questions or the comments, if there were questions. And then it would come back, and it would go to the township board, and that's where it would stay. It wouldn't necessarily be directed to go back out in response to the person that made those requests. So this just tightens up that language and actually sends it's almost like a spreadsheet where it goes to, our flow chart, where it goes to the supervisor's office, then it's transferred out to any of the departments that are necessary to answer any of the questions that may come up, and then it comes back to the supervisor's office where it's all the information is compiled. Then it's sent out to, not only to the entire board, but also to the one that made the question. So that just tightens it all up, and if there's any questions by the board, I'm here to answer any.
Comments or questions from the community?
Sam Bushel, 18546 Wayland Drive. The clerk just stated that the current policy says the supervisor decides to respond or not. Actually, the policy that was in place since 2000 had the fact that each of the affected departments would get this, they would respond, those responses would come back to the clerk, and then each of the board members would get copies of the answers. And there again, even though it was a request, there again, people had to put their name and address and phone number on and request this response. As we all know, no responses were coming to the resident that asked the questions. I've asked each of the board members individually, being they all had the answers from the different things, not one of them would give me the answers. And some of this becomes a problem because even a couple weeks ago, the supervisor's office said, contact the department heads. And so I did that, as you're all aware of this very long email string that ended today with the fact that our township planner, very well paid, he cannot even tell me if there's a valid site plan on the twice site plan business behind me. And that is because, as you all have known since August, the building official and the DPW allowed this property to move around. They put up a fence instead of a dumpster enclosure in a non-approved location on the site plan. The site plan does have the current site plan does have a dumpster location, but it's not there. But also, more shockingly, due to the flooding situation that was happening to the homes, because this property they built up about 2 feet above.
Michelle, this is in regard to a change in the
That's
card.
correct, and I'm explaining what the problem is.
Well, this is about the card. You're talking about a specific issue.
I'm talking about the fact that the answers aren't, and I'm explaining the fact that
We're trying to make sure you get your answers. And this is, we think, going to help.
This comes, the supervisor gets the responses from the department heads, and the board may or may not get it. And of course, that might make them all feel better because they've all had these answers and done nothing about it. But the problem is, under the supervisor's discretion, right now, we have all the fees were waived for this business. There was this flooding problem that flooded the homes. You've had videos of it. I'm sorry, but
Please address the issue.
The issue is the answers using the supervisor's office have not come through.
This is the first time you're going to start using the supervisor's office.
Well, and then, so in other words, the board has just been the non-answers.
I have seen our department heads have answered your questions.
They have not.
I've seen I've seen them send you emails.
This is
They've
an
answered
email
the same
from today.
question
This
over
is
and
a-
over again.
There again, this is a set of emails from today. And the planner
Please
says he
address-
cannot, he
Please address
cannot.
the issue.
The issue is, you have known about illegalities.
No.
You
The
have
issue
known
is-
about,
Sir-
you've known about fees being
Sir,
waived.
we're talking about a change in the card. Basically, it's going from her office to my office.
Well, and I'm just saying, the questions in the past have let you all know that these places, if a residence puts one, as the building official said, change one board on a picket fence, it all has to go up to current standards. You all have known all along, it's not worked that way.
Thank
Well, we'll see, but if this board votes to change this, when you haven't been honoring your current system, if it really was questions for citizens that want to, the actual response card says if you want an answer, but you haven't been giving answers. And it's legal problems, and it's where the residents have been paying fees, and you've been letting the businesses get away with nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Gilliam?
So I think what we have before us clarifies the process for when people come before the board. It's not the only level, though, of transparency. Anybody at any time can pick up the phone and call the trustee's office or the supervisor's office. If it's tax-related, it doesn't have to be, but if it is, you can call the treasurer's office directly, and I'm sure the clerk, that's the same. We're all available to you in order to try to get answers. So call us, email us directly. If you want to come before the board, then it's going to be routed through the supervisor's office. If it's a FOIA, it's then routed through the clerk's office as the FOIA coordinator. It doesn't have to be the clerk, but it is designated as the clerk. And so there's those levels of transparency. And in this case, when it's a board issue, when it's a question posed by the board, it's going to be submitted to the supervisor's office. He or she is going to submit it to a department head, get a response, and then it's mandated that the response from that department head or the supervisor goes to all of the board members. So we'll all see
As well as
what
the
was
commission.
provided. Yep. So,
We're not seeing it now.
Bob Hogan, 36755 Bar Street. I'm not sure I understand this. But I do want to know this one thing. Is it going to change the cards that the chief has? Has this got anything to do with the Board of Directors comment card?
Does it change anything on the card itself? I think we asked for your
Just-
it
email
was some-
address so we can get
it was
hold
some
of you.
cleanup language.
Updated, yeah, it just updated some.
Or in other words, do we still get 3 minutes if we
3
fill out a
minutes.
card?
Yeah, you still get 3
Okay,
minutes.
then we're all set. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to change the card?
Well, up to the comment and the process. The policy, we're going to amend the public comment policy and update the public comment card.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Aragona?
Yes.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mrs. West?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mrs. Meltzer, yes, motion passes.
Thank you. Item 12, add-on, approval of appointment to operator position, water and sewer.
Dear members of the board, the Public Services Department is recommending the appointment of Mr. Ryan Schaefer to the position of operator in the Water and Sewer Division. This appointment constitutes a promotion within the department. Based on interviews and a skills test, department management is confident that Mr. Schaefer is qualified for the position. Mr. Schaefer's salary will be $52,894. Upon Township Board approval, the appointment will be effective November 26, 2019. Thank you for your consideration of this matter. Sincerely, William Smith, Human Resources Director.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved to approve.
Is there a second?
Support.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. West?
Yes.
Mr. Aragona?
Yes.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mrs. Meltzer, yes, motion passes.
Approval of the minutes of the November 12, 2019 regular Township Board meeting.
So moved.
Support.
I will not be voting on this. I wasn't there. I really can't
Okay.
comment on them.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Aragona?
Yes.
Mrs. Meltzer, yes, motion passes.
Thank you. Approval of the bills.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Support.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Meltzer, yes, Mr. Aragona?
Yes.
Mrs. West?
Yes.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to repeat the public service announcement briefly. A survey is available to all of our township residents. We request that you either get it online, you can get a hard copy at the township here, the senior center, or either of our libraries in the community, or call my office and we will send you one to fill out.
It's also on social media.
Plus, it's on social media quite a bit. And with that, we'll take public comments. We have one public comment, Sam Bouchel.
Yes, there again, I'm very concerned before the spring rains, as you all know, that we have a flooding problem that was worsened by, when you have a site plan business that was originally site planned in '68 as a 7-Eleven, then was re-site planned as a doctor's office with a very different configuration, but with a very qualified dump site, but no drains. This place is built up 2 feet higher than the residential area around it. You had the DPW this spring. They allowed this business with no fees, no permit fees or anything, to put in 2 new drains that, they're not drains that go to the drainage system. They're pipes that take the water and shoot it out to the restaurant next door that's a different property, which is 2 feet lower. In fact, it happens to be an exact level with the residences. And so this water, instead of just seeping through the wall, now has a direct shot. And so I've been asking for quite a while, is it legal? And there again, at the Planning Commission, they pointed out on another property coming up, oh, don't worry, the DPW, they know that they have to approve all drains, and they have to do it legally, and drains cannot, under any circumstance, drain to the property next door. But on top of that, because now again, per the building, and you've all got the email from the building department, they allowed them also to put the dumpster in a non-site plan approved location on a site plan property. And instead of putting it up as a current standards, such as when a residence comes up and they change one board on a picket fence, they have to come up to the complete standards of today. This place puts in a fence, no screening gates to block off Kelly Road. But on top of that is a fence. And there again, as you all know, because you all have copies of the emails, no permit fees. Holy cow, there's not a residence in town that gets fence permits for free. In fact, we've got a person here in the audience that put up a little 4-foot decorative fence, and they got called by the township to put in, they had to come get a permit. And I'm wondering why this board would allow this to go on. And there again, it should be easy for an answer to come. And there again, I did put in a question again today, so we'll find out if we get an answer. But if it's illegal to approve a drainage system that drains to another property, how in the world could the DPW and the building department have approved these drains in August, as you all know, they were put in, and what are we going to do in the spring? Do you not care that we already had flooding? There again, the videos of the flooding came in. 5 seconds, I'm done.
Thank you. A motion to adjourn is in order?
Before we do that, Mr. Cannon, I just want to point out that our county clerk is actually still here in the audience at the conclusion of the meeting as well as the beginning of the meeting. So I give him some credit for that. And he didn't just breeze in, do his presentation, and then breeze out. So
Well, he wants to help me carry this down to the a motion to adjourn is in order.
Support.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Mr. Aragona?
Yes.
Mrs. West?
Yes.
Mr. Cannon?
Yes.
Mr. Gilliam?
yes.
Mrs. Meltzer, yes. Motion passes.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.